Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Spiffing Brit, a professional exploiter of video games, and as of a few days ago, I am the world's best Civilization 7 player. For those that missed it, I went on a sponsored trip to Germany and won a tournament hosted by the game's developers. Now, before the event, I was informed that the developers were happy for me to use exploits, but they gave me a warning that they'd designed the tournament to be more balanced. This meant that we started off in the exploration age, couldn't use mementos, and had our leaders and civs chosen at random. This meant that I was forced to play at a fraction of my total power level. Despite these limitations, I still ended up winning, but I did not get the opportunity to show off some of the exploits that I had been saving for the special event. So I'm making this video here to showcase why I am the world's handsomest, smartest, and most humble Civilization 7 player. So grab yourself a nice warm cup of tea, give the video a like, write an extended comment about how much you dislike this game's UI, and let's dive into this video. Be warned that these exploits are currently unpatched and some of them may ruin the entire multiplayer scene of the game, so yeah, be careful or something. Now, I've got a bunch of exploits, and some of them are really disgusting, including literally going just completely infinite in the game. That's right, infinite science, infinite culture, you name it, everything can be broken. Before that, I think we should start with a nice silly exploit to let you go beyond the reaches of the game in an unexpected way. Now, this exploit doesn't require much setup, but I'm going to show you the optimal way to do it anyway. You're going to want to grab yourselves the Travels of Marco Polo and the Imago Mundi memento. The Travels bonus gives you gold for every 100 tiles you explore, and the Imago Mundi makes your scouts even more overpowered. At the same time, we're going to be playing as Trung Trak because she gets an overpowered army commander, and that's going to make this even faster. Right, welcome into the game. We have ourselves a lovely little map and we're ready to play. Now, normally in this game, what you'd want to do is rush your way down to mysticism and grab yourself an overpowered pantheon. We're actually not going to do that because thanks to our lovely upgrades, for every 100 tiles we explore, we get 50 gold, which is actually really overpowered. Now, we can actually boost the amount we're able to scout thanks to our other memento, meaning that our scouts kind of become satellite navigation systems. They're pretty darn good indeed. Right, and on turn 7, we've unlocked the ability to start this exploit because we've been given an army commander. Now, army commanders are pretty snazzy little units, and our army commander starts out even stronger than most others. Basically, the way this is going to work is we're going to stack our scout's abilities over and over again. You see, by pushing this button here, our scout enters into a stance called Lookout. It converts the scout from, instead of being a boy who can run around the map and do scouting stuff, to becoming a watchtower with increased sightlines. It's useful for discovering when your enemy's about to start attacking you, but outside of those niche situations, it's not the best. With our lovely memento though, it's even more powerful and we can cover more ground. So by pushing this button, we discover, ooh, the Grand Canyon. That's pretty good. Yes, we can now see perfectly all the way out to here. And by discovering all of that extra land, we get extra money, which we can use to buy ourselves a settler. That's right, by exploring land borders, we've just bought ourselves an entire human being. But still, we can do better. So we then move into the next turn, and we're in an interesting situation where our scout is still on his lovely lookout podium looking around the world map, and we can now see for quite a nice distance. That's great. However, our army commander has a special ability. He can pick up nearby units and store them inside of his army. So by clicking on our army commander, we gobble up that scout. The problem is though that now that our scout's gone, our vision has gone. However, our army commander can actually deploy our scout back onto the exact same tile he was at, and you'll notice we get all of that vision back. But here's the problem. Our scout isn't in his lookout stance. Oh, that is bad. He shouldn't be able to see all of this land. And then what happens if I push the button again? Oh, well, the lookout range just increases more. Ah, yes, this is very interesting indeed. We've now met lovely BJ Franklin. What a lovely guy. Now, when you meet a new civilization, you can spend influence to see their capital. This might be a good idea as revealing tiles makes us money thanks to that special memento I picked. Well, you would be wrong. Remember, this is a multi-million-dollar AAA game, so of course pushing that button just takes your influence and does nothing. Besides, we don't need to pay to reveal their capital. We can just use our mega scout exploit and see everything. So anyway, we'll press next turn. We're then in a lovely situation where our lovely commander can assemble his army, deploy the army back out again, we get all of our vision back, and then we pop the scout's ability once more. And would you look at that? Our range and vision just keeps growing. Our entire early game economy is just all about converting these wonderful money gains from scouting into tangible items that we can buy with gold, like settlers, settlers. So once again, we assemble our army, redeploy our army back out, click on the scout, have him scout some more, and that's even more money. There we go, fantastic. We just keep growing out in loads of different directions. Now you technically don't need to be doing this with an upgraded commander. However, if your commander has the first promotion in the assault tree so that units can move after you unpack them, that allows your scout to do its scout ability on the same turn that you spit it out, which is very useful indeed. And oh my goodness, what is that over there? Oh, well, it's a brand new continent, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, even though we are in the antiquity age, where we are only meant to be able to stick to our starting area, I have been able to discover the new world. Yep, that's just how horrifically broken this exploit is. So once again, my commander will pick up our scout, I'll plop him down on the ground, but this time I'll plop him down onto a different tile because this will actually change his sight line. So by placing him here, he can discover even more land, and would you look at that, that's a bunch of new city-states discovered. I can then push the lookout boost again, and oh my, look, it's the border of Charlemagne's Axumite Empire. Now this is quite a problem indeed, ladies and gentlemen, because in this age of the game, there is no way for another player to reach the other continent. This means that when you're playing a multiplayer, you and all of your friends are stuck on this continent for the entirety of the first age, which should be around about 250 turns. However, by using this exploit, we're able to discover the new world. But remember, we have no way to traverse the open ocean, so you can't really do anything about it other than make money from mementos, is what you would think. However, of course, I'm a dastardly British individual, and that means I like to think a little bit outside of the box, especially when it allows me to mess with my friends. You see, by doing this exploit, we're able to discover brand new city-states, and by negotiating with these city-states and becoming their suzerain, we can eventually push a button, which for a few hundred influence will allow us to integrate the city-state and turn it into one of our own cities. This means that by discovering this city-state over here, we can send them a lovely friend request, and after several turns, become their bestie, annex them, and then start training settlers. This allows you to begin colonization in 3200 BCE. Now, if that isn't the most British thing in the universe, I don't know what is. I do like that the luxury chocolate says this is a distant lands resource that will be attainable in the next stage. No, it won't, game. I'll be attaining that chocolate now, please. And of course, remember, with our other memento, we make money every time we discover new tiles. So by moving our overpowered Mega Scout around, we not only have perfect vision of the entire map and all of the world's troop movement, we also have a huge amount of money. And that money can be used to allow us to completely run away with the game. Yes, your games genuinely won't even be in the slightest bit fair if you start using this exploit. And you should, because it's incredibly fun. But what if you're fed up of actually playing games with your friends in multiplayer? And what if you just want to have a little bit of an advantage? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you in a multiplayer game you could actually double all of your yield without actually having to play the game? Say hello to the disconnect Diety exploit. Basically, when playing a multiplayer game, if for whatever reason you drop out and miss a turn of the game, the AI of the game takes over your CIV. This is very useful in the event of a player crashing, or maybe someone just going to make a cup of tea but not wanting to pause the game. If before the game started you set the AI difficulty to Deity, then you as the player will receive those Deity bonuses when you Alt F4 the game. In the right situations, this is absurdly powerful. Let's say you're trying to build a world wonder, but you and your friend are both 2 turns away from completing it. Well, the Deity AI gets a massive production bonus, so if you Alt F4 the game and let the AI take over, they'll get that wonder built in 1 turn. Now that's what I call perfect multiplayer balance. Say hello to Ahsoka the World Conqueror. He's kind of an explosive conquest civ that relies a lot on happiness. However, conquest and happiness usually don't go hand in hand because you need excess happiness in order to hold lots of cities. However, we're going to be able to cheese the game with him and gain happiness at a rate that would cause medical concern. In order to make this exploit even more powerful, I recommend the memento that gives you an extra cultural attribute point and the memento that gives you 200 gold per age at the start of an age. Now, you can pull this exploit off in a normal game, but just to speed up the process, we're going to hop directly into the modern age. Now, you can play as any nation, however, I find Mexico is generally the best for this cheesiness. For difficulty, we're going to go on Deity, but you can generally do whatever you like. So let's throw ourselves into the game. So here we are starting in the modern age. It is 1750 CE, and we get to pick ourselves an advanced start. Now, the way our leader works is quite simple. For every 5 excess happiness in cities, we get +1 extra production. So in our capital city that has 21 happiness, we get an extra +4 production. That's not exactly anything too exciting, but we can cheese this by quite a bit. So step 1, we're going to want to grab ourselves all of the wildcard attributes that we're allowed. Step 2, we want to grab all of the lovely civic advantages advantages. Step 3, we'll grab ourselves a few extra towns to place down. So by starting the game like this, we get a few little advantages, all of our civic boosts, and we can start researching political theory right away. At the same time, we have a large amount of leader attributes to spend. You can see that on this difficulty though, we're at a massive disadvantage. The AI has some huge bonuses, and they haven't even placed down all of their cities yet. Diety AI is just built different, and by built different, I mean a cheating bastard. So what we're about to do is break the game a little bit. In order to do this, we want to spend as many points as possible down the cultural leader tree, as we need culture to unlock a specific social policy so we can start the exploit. And the exploit is more efficient the more points we have. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to sink all of my points so that we fill out this entire tree. And now that we're at the bottom, we'll even spend an extra point to gain a plus 5% repeatable culture bonus. Now when you load into the game, you get a random selection of civs that the game basically says you were playing as in the previous age. We rolled very lucky and have picked up these wonderful bonuses here. Shenry gives us plus 1 gold for every 5 surplus happiness in our cities, and a Trash gives us plus 1 science for every 5 surplus happiness. These are great as they synergize perfectly with our leader's natural bonus. If I have a way to get infinite happiness, then we can turn it into infinite yields. Now, along with our main exploit, I'm also serving it up with a complimentary bugged wonder, the Doggo Onsen. And it was the first exploit I actually found in the game. The reason it's bugged is because every time you enter a celebration, which is achieved by having excess happiness, you get plus 1 extra population in the city you build it in. The problem is, instead of it giving you plus 1 population in just that city, it gives you plus 1 population in every city. This is not good at all for the game's balance, as you end up with far too much population. So combine that with our strat of getting too much happiness, you just know it's all gonna get out of hand. Oh, and fantastic, we've finally got enough excess happiness for our first celebration. Now, celebrations are determined by your government type, and as we're playing as Mexico, that means we have only one option at the moment, and that's plus 30% culture, which is good for us. And because of the celebration, we're also about to slot in a new social policy. I'm going to grab extra culture from natural wonders, because we have ourselves this lovely redwood forest. That's going to give us a nice boost to our culture output. Oh, and fantastic, we did get to build ourselves the Doggo Onsen. Lovely. Ooh, I've also researched my civic at the same time. Now, this is normally the point where you would pick democracy, fascism, or communism. However, we're going to get a little bit cheesy and instead go for nationalism, which when research gives us a social policy that breaks the game. Right, turn 15, and because we have some excess happiness lying around, we actually get ourselves another celebration. Very nice indeed. I'm going to say that buildings cost less happiness and gold to maintain, which should give us some excess happiness. Most importantly though, because we enter a celebration, we get some excess population. And this excess population from our wander is going to be sent to every single city we have, including all of our tiny little towns, meaning they just rapidly expand faster than the game is really expecting them to, which is great for me. Although it's not good for players who suffer from carpal tunnel syndrome, because you're going to be doing a lot of extra clicking. And fantastic, we finally unlocked the civic I was waiting for. You see, by researching nationalism, you unlock a social policy that you can slot into your government. This is demagogy, a policy that actually isn't really that useful. You're definitely not going to pick it over anything else, as this policy gives you happiness on just your palace, so only your capital city, equal to your cultural attribute. Now, of course, you will remember that I spammed a lot of points into my cultural attribute tree. In total, 12 attribute points have been spent on this tree, meaning if I were to pick up this policy and slot it into my government, we will be gaining 12 excess happiness in our capital. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop in demagogy, and we're going to notice that my happiness goes up to 225, and in my capital, our happiness is now up to 54. Thanks to our leader bonus, we get plus 1 production for every 5 excess happiness in a city. This gives us a production boost, and because of the social policies we have slotted in, we also gain science and gold. That's all very nice and balanced. However, let's say I didn't actually want that policy, and so instead of keeping it in, I simply removed it and then pressed confirm. Well, if we go back to our city, interestingly, our happiness hasn't gone down, but it definitely went up, right? Well, there's only one way to check. I'm going to put demagogy back in, and then if I go back into my city, oh, it's up to 66 now. Well, it wasn't that high before, and oh, my gold's gone up. So is my science, and so is my production. Oh dear, Sid. Oh dear. And if I unslot it and then just slot it back in again, is that going to also make my science go up? Yes, it is. And then, Sid, I wouldn't do it, a third time. I mean, there's no way that I, a British person, would. I've done it a third time, Sid. I have done it. I'm good. I'm doing it a 4th time, Sid. You can't stop me, Sid. You can't stop me. There we go. On 23, we've now got 500 happiness per turn, which is very good indeed. It's a ridiculous amount of happiness that will allow us to enter celebrations far more often. And of course, thanks to the doggo onsen, each celebration increases our population by 1 in all of our settlements, allowing for even faster uncontrollable growth. That's double exploit potential, baby. Our celebrations also get even more powerful when you go down the Mexican civic tree. For example, we can get plus 30% science from a celebration. Ooh, now that would be nice and pair very well with our current 222 science per turn. Before we achieved 500 happiness, our capital was only on 87 production per turn, 40 gold per turn, and 33 science per turn. By boosting it up this high, we can build wonders even faster. We make more money, and most importantly, we have a lot more science. And now I'm going to continue this exploit even further beyond. Yes, I have a limited finite time on this planet as a human being, however, I've become immortal after drinking so much tea, and so this doesn't really bother me. Also, the developers didn't release the game with Britain for some reason, and I'm still salty about that, so yes, it only seems fair that I have to snap the game like a twig. I'll see you after a refreshing cup of tea. So here we are on turn 24, with 10,000 gold per turn, 10,000 science per turn, 5,000 culture per turn, and 47,000 happiness. This is the highest amount of science ever recorded in a game of Civilization 7, and it also might be the only time a statistic this high is ever recorded. But then again, probably not, because the developers intend to add 500 DLC this year, so that means they'll probably keep accidentally adding bugs into the game. Still, for the moment, I am clearly in the lead, and absolutely decimating all of the AI. All of our technology takes 0 turns to research, and all of our civics take only 1 turn to research as well. My goal is very simple. I'm going to try and finish the modern age as quickly as possible. There we go, that's globalism, that's combustion. Alright, next up we're going to grab flight, followed by militarism. I'm going to buy myself a railway station in my capital city. It is causing a lot of lag for me to do that. An aerodrome, also quite a bit of lag to place that bad boy down. I mean, here comes the UI. And here we are at the end of the civic tree. Fantastic. Why not? The game's broken. We might as well continue this nightmare. There we go, that's future civic researched. Right, now we're beginning our research on aerodynamics so we can get modern fighters, dive bombers, and heavy bombers. Let's also immediately trigger a celebration, which I don't think did anything because we're already in celebration. Right, we're now into the final tech of the tree, which is rocketry. I'm sure it's historically accurate that the Mexicans discovered how to fly into space in 1810. We launched our first satellite, which means we now have vision over the entire map. After that, we're going to be able to win the space race. More science, there we go. 20,000 science in a game of Civ. So I should probably end this game in style. And on turn 35 of the modern era, ladies and gentlemen, glorious victory! Perfectly balanced indeed, if I do say so myself. Now, of course, you don't just have to use the exploit to create infinite science. There are other social policies in the game that when you remove from your government don't actually stop their effect. Same for mementos. I'm not going to list all of them because I still think there's a fair bit of fun in you guys discovering them yourself. Anyway, those are just a few fun, silly exploits that I've been messing about with in Civilization 7. But if you could do me just one favor before you all click off, scroll on down into the comment section. Yes, I know you can click the subscribe button on your way down there, but I'd like you to write a message asking the developers to please add the UK into the game. I know the developers watch my videos, and this is probably the fastest way to get them in, without me having to give them tea, and I am not sharing my tea. Anyway, as always, thank you very much to our lovely YouTube members and patrons for bankrolling these videos. Your generous support is greatly appreciated. If you're looking for a video to watch, look no further than this one on screen now. I think you're going to love it. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a lovely day, and goodbye for now.